Hey, Richie Smith from LensWizard.com, and welcome to another episode of learning the basics of Photoshop for photographers. So in our last video, we had just kind of used this map right here, and we were looking at what is it that we would take away from this image. The scenario was, just to give you a recap of it, the scenario was you're a beginning photographer, you're new to photography, and maybe you shoot landscapes, maybe you shoot wildlife, whatever it is, but at some point somebody's going to ask you to make a portrait. So it might be a family member or a friend, and they see you got a good camera, they see you're enthused about photography, and they're going to say, hey, can you make a portrait of me? So, or maybe it's your decision to do it. So either way, once you make your portrait, you're going to take it into Lightroom, and then once in Lightroom, maybe you can make it all happen right there, but maybe you can't. Maybe they got blems on their face, some blemish spots here, and you need to go that next step. You're going to head over into Photoshop. Now you can remove some light blems in Lightroom, but you're going to head over into Photoshop, and then it's like, well, what is it? Now I'm in Photoshop, and what is it that I'm going to do? Because you're a beginner and you just don't know the direction to take. So the very first thing what we're going to talk about is just a tool to remove those blems, and that is the healing brush. But the very first thing we want to do is keyboard shortcut Control J. Get used to that shortcut because you will use it almost every image you open, and you'll use it multiple times. Control J makes another copy. So we come up. I like to zoom in. I'm at 114. I usually stay about 100, but let's, just to come up to 114, and we're going to choose this tool right here, which is the healing brush, or it could be the spot healing, but the keyboard shortcut of the letter J. That's all it is, the letter J, and I'm just going to click on it so you can see your options with it. And there is the spot healing. Okay, I'm going to click on spot healing. And that works for some instances, but now just so you know, this is how the healing brush works. Okay, when I click on this and I do this, Photoshop just selected, I don't know where it selected, but it selected a spot over here maybe, could be over here, could even be over here, and it took that spot and put it where the blemish was. Okay, that's how Photoshop works. I don't particularly care for that on skin, because although it works pretty good with that one, as you get going and doing it over and over and over and over and over, or sometimes when you're removing a hair like that, it doesn't always pick the spot you wanted it to pick. So Control Z backs me up, puts my blemish back in place, and I'm going to go up here and get. Now notice I got to stop for a second and tell you, you see how my brush is elongated. Okay, the brush is elongated because my personal preference. That's strictly all it is. People see me doing this and they say my healing brush isn't elongated. Well, if you want it to be elongated, you can go up here and click on this, and this is the thing that changes the shape of your brush and angle. Although it's elongated, it doesn't matter. So the reason I do it is to differentiate it from the other one, so that I know which one, because sometimes I'll forget which one I'm on if I do happen to be going back and forth between the two. So now, healing brush, using the Alt key, you hold the Alt key down, and it's whatever you touch, and then release the Alt key, it's going to pick that spot up. For example, right here, I touch this. Now you really can't see it, but let's move it over the white of her eye. See that? It picked that spot up, and I'm going to lay that spot and touch it right over the blemish. And as long as you pick up a clean spot, now watch when I touch this down. Watch over here where I picked it up. You're going to see a crosshair appear, and it's going to track with the brush. So it's going to track the area where I picked it up. You see that? So you got to be careful. If you pick a spot up here, let's say right here, right? And then we start editing and we go down, well, now we just made two blemishes. See? So you got to be careful where that brush tracks to. And it takes a little bit of getting used to. Not a lot. I'm telling you, you sit and you play with this for 10 minutes, even 5 minutes, you'll get the hang of it really quick. You don't have to be talented to do this part of it. The only thing you have to be able to do is see, see where the blemish is and see where the nice skin. So typically, like if I want to remove this blemish here, I don't want to choose skin from over here for the most part. I want to stay pretty much right there. Okay? And you can work away at it. Don't go crazy with it. What I would do with this image is I am going to work away and take out some of the blemishes, but I'm also maybe going to smooth the skin a little bit. See, and now some of these aren't blems. They're blems, but they're not zits or whatever you want to call them. This is just places where the makeup cakes up after the makeup's been on the face for a while. Humidity plays a big factor. If you're outside, wind can play a factor. There's many things that can play a factor into once she leaves the makeup artist and you get shooting, stuff can happen. That's why it's good to keep the makeup artist on hand to come in and retouch. But even still, you're just going to end up with little spots. I mean, I had this makeup artist put down a light foundation and just a very light makeup. But then we were moving around. It was cold. She was shivering. It was very cold in the studio. And just stuff gets moved around, even on the face. So take these blems away. Now let's see. This will work on stray hairs too. Let's pick a spot right next to the hair and let's just slide it down. Now sometimes you got to be careful how far you're sliding it because you don't want to run into something else. She's got some blems here. She's got these hairs. And sometimes you have to work just in little short strokes. And quite honestly, sometimes working in short strokes is a lot better. It can be a little more time consuming. And now when it does come to the topic of time, you do want to get good at this to where you can do it quickly, but not so quick that you're not efficient. And from time to time, this is a very important piece of advice, is back out. Just back out. Because this is how you're going to look at it right there, right? You're not going to look at her face like this. Even when you go to post this online, I don't care where you post it, even if you printed it, it's going to look something like this. So you do want to zoom in, and that's why I kind of set my limit of around 100. Because if I was to zoom in too close, well then everything looks like a blemish, and then that's not what I want. So what happened here? My zoom tool. There we go. So that's the healing brush, and that's how I tend to work with it for basic edits, and it will really help you out. Now again, like I said, what I'll do in another tutorial, I'll show you how to soften skin, but that's the healing brush. It'll take you a long way. Learn how to use it. It's one of the best face tools in Photoshop, and it's very easy to use. Very, very easy to use. Whoops, I kind of overdid it while I was talking. Okay, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Check me out on social media. Lens Wizard on Instagram. That's where I like to hang out, but I'm also on Facebook. Lens Wizard, facebook.com/Lens Wizard. I'm on Tumblr. I'm on Twitter as Richard Smith Jr. But check me out whatever your favorite social media is. If you have any questions, you can message me through social media, or you can email me at rich@lenswizard.com. I'm always free to get back and chat with people, and just sometimes it's not advice they want. Sometimes they just want to talk about something. So, okay, everybody, have a great day.